You feel everything deeply. Other people's pain, you carry it like it's your own. When someone is hurting, you're the first one there. When someone needs help, you give, sometimes before they even ask. You see the good in people, even when others don't. Even when maybe you shouldn't. And somehow, the people who hurt you the most were always the ones you gave the most to. Have you ever wondered why that keeps happening? It's not a coincidence. It's not bad luck. And it is absolutely not your fault. Carl Jung spent his entire life studying the darkest corners of the human psyche. And what he discovered about why narcissists target empaths specifically, it's not just fascinating. It's something every empath needs to hear. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you today might be the most important thing you ever understand about yourself. First, let's talk about you, because the word empath gets thrown around a lot, and most explanations barely scratch the surface of what Jung actually meant. Jung didn't use the word empath directly, but he described a certain type of person, deeply feeling, highly intuitive, extraordinarily sensitive to the emotional world around them. He called this psychological permeability, the ability and the vulnerability of having very thin walls between yourself and the emotional world around you. Where most people have thick boundaries between their inner world and the outer world, you have something more like a membrane, thin, sensitive, responsive. You pick up on things others miss completely, the slight tension in someone's voice, the sadness behind someone's smile, the discomfort in a room that nobody else seems to notice. This is a gift, a profound, rare, beautiful gift. But Jung also warned, every gift has a shadow side. Every strength, when unconscious, becomes a vulnerability. And for the empath, that shadow side is this: you don't just feel others' emotions, you absorb them. You take them on as your own. And somewhere along the way, you learn to prioritize everyone else's feelings over your own. That pattern, right there, is what makes you visible to a very specific type of person. Now let's talk about the other side of this equation. Jung wrote extensively about what he called the inflated ego, a person so completely identified with their own persona, their own image, their own needs, that they have essentially lost connection with their deeper self entirely. This is the narcissist. But here's what most people don't understand about narcissists, and this is crucial. Beneath all that confidence, beneath the control, the manipulation, the charm, the cruelty, there is a terrified child. Jung said the narcissistic personality is almost always built on a foundation of profound shame. Deep, buried, unconscious shame that was too painful to face. So what did they do with that shame? They buried it. They built an entire personality on top of it. A false self, confident, superior, special, above criticism. And they locked their true wounded self, their shadow, so deep inside, they don't even know it's there anymore. But that shadow doesn't disappear. It just finds other ways to get what it needs. And what it needs is someone who will give endlessly. Someone who will absorb their pain. Someone who will make them feel whole, without them ever having to do their own inner work. Someone exactly like you. So now we get to the heart of it. Jung described something he called psychological complementarity, the idea that certain personality types are unconsciously drawn to each other, not randomly, but because something in each of them recognizes something in the other. The narcissist and the empath are the most powerful example of this. Here's exactly what happens. The narcissist, unconsciously, is looking for someone who will do what they cannot do for themselves: feel, care, give, absorb, validate. And the empath, also unconsciously, is often looking for someone to save, someone who has a wounded child hidden inside them that only they can see, only they can reach. Do you recognize that pattern? Have you ever thought, I can see who they really are underneath all of this. I just need to love them enough. I just need to be patient enough. Jung called this the rescuer archetype, and he said, it is one of the most painful psychological traps a person can fall into. Because here's the devastating truth. The narcissist's wounded inner child is real. That pain is real. But, and this is the part that breaks empaths, you cannot heal it for them. Nobody can heal it but them. And most narcissists will never choose to do that work. So what happens instead? They take and take and take, and you give and give and give, until there is nothing left of you. And then, when you are completely empty, they move on to find the next source, the next empath, the next person who will give them what they refuse to give themselves. And you are left wondering, what did I do wrong? You did nothing wrong. You loved with everything you had. The problem was never your love. The problem was the container you poured it into. Now, here is Jung's actual warning. And please, really hear this. Jung said that the empath's greatest spiritual lesson is learning to distinguish between genuine compassion and unconscious self-sacrifice. Genuine compassion says, I see your pain, I care about your healing, and I will support you from a place of strength. Unconscious self-sacrifice says, your pain is my responsibility, your healing is my purpose, your happiness matters more than my own. One comes from wholeness, the other comes from a wound. Jung believed that many empaths, not all, but many, learned very early in life that love was conditional, that they had to earn love by being needed, by fixing, by giving, by making others feel good. And so they unconsciously seek out people who need fixing, people who need saving, people who take everything, because that's the love dynamic they learned first. This is not weakness. This is not stupidity. This is a very old wound operating from the shadows. And Jung said, the only way out of this pattern is to bring it into the light, to ask yourself the hardest question, am I loving this person, or am I trying to save them? Because saving feels like love to me. That question will change your life. So what do you actually do with all of this? Jung gave us something incredibly practical. He called it individuation, the process of becoming fully, consciously yourself, knowing your own boundaries, knowing your own needs, knowing where you end and someone else begins. For an empath, this is the most important work you will ever do. Step 1. Learn to feel the difference between empathy and absorption. Empathy says, I feel with you. Absorption says, I feel instead of you. I take your pain so you don't have to feel it. One is a gift. The other is a pattern that slowly destroys you. Step 2. Notice your energy after spending time with someone. This is simple but profound. After being with someone, do you feel lighter or heavier? Do you feel more like yourself or less? Your body always knows before your mind does. Step 3. Practice what Jung called conscious withdrawal. You are allowed to love someone and still choose not to save them. You are allowed to care about someone's pain and still say, this is not mine to carry. That is not cruelty. That is wisdom. And step 4, and this is the most important one, become the person you were trying to save. Give yourself the love you kept pouring into people who couldn't hold it. The understanding, the patience, the compassion, the endless belief in someone's potential. You are that person worth saving. You always were. Before you go, I want you to sit with something. Think about the last person who completely drained you, who took your love, your energy, your time, and left you feeling empty. Now ask yourself honestly, did you see the red flags early on? And did some part of you choose to stay anyway? Because you believed you could love them into becoming better? That awareness, right there, is the beginning of everything changing. If this video touched something real inside you today, please leave a comment below. Even just 3 words, I felt this, because you are not alone in this pattern, and your honesty might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you are ready to understand yourself, truly, deeply understand yourself, subscribe to the Inner Persona. Every week we go deeper into the psychology of healing, self-discovery, and transformation through the wisdom of Carl Jung. Because the most powerful thing you will ever do is stop saving everyone else. And finally, save yourself.